Are you tired of grinding away endless days in Stardew Valley only to make little to no money? Are you exasperated by the endless cycle of poverty plaguing your day-to-day life? Well, worry no further, as in this guide, I'm going to be showcasing 6 of the best money-making methods in this game, each depending on your situation, from the very start of the game all the way to the end, with some methods upwards of 1 million gold a day. And starting off with method number 1, we have fishing, something you can do from the very second day of spring and can make a surprising amount of money from, upwards of around 5,000 gold a day. This method is pretty self-explanatory, just find a body of water and cast out your rod. But in order to make the most of it, you're going to want to make sure that you're fishing in the most optimal places and conditions, which depending on the season is going to change a lot. But say you're in spring, try to do it in the very middle of the mountain lake, where you can catch some of the more valuable fish like largemouth bass, bullheads, and even the legend if you're lucky, all of which selling for an insane amount of gold. Yes, I know for many this may be frustrating, but trust me, it gets easier. And if you're really struggling, you can just use the training rod. The reason this method is so good is that you're not only making yourself a ton of money, but you're also giving yourself one of the best early game supplies of foods and leveling up your fishing skill while doing so, which is only going to make you more and more money, as when you level up, the quality of your fish increases, and you can also unlock the angler perk which buffs your sell prices by 50%. Overall, this can net you anywhere between 1,000 and 10,000 gold per day, which early on is some huge money. However, say you're a little bit further in the game and are getting tired of fishing, this can be replaced by the second method, sprinkler farming, which takes very little time out of your day and makes some comfortable amounts of cash. Considering this game is quite literally set on a farm, this might sound pretty obvious, however a lot of people don't understand how much this can actually make when you do it properly. Early on in the game, before you have sprinklers, farming does technically work, but you'll be spending all your morning watering your crops and be completely out of energy by noon. But after reaching floor 80 in the mines, you're able to craft up some quality sprinklers, which completely changes the early game. Once you've gotten all of these sprinklers set up, the most profitable crops to plant are going to be strawberries in spring, blueberries in summer, and cranberries in fall, all of which are going to consistently produce fruit all throughout the season. I think it's important to note that this method does require some upfront investment to get it up and running. However, once you've done this, the returns are easily worth it, with a few hundred crops able to make upwards of 20 to 30,000 gold each day. And on top of this, you'll also have heaps of free time to spend on whatever else you want, such as friendship, leveling up your skills, or even just making more money. Unfortunately though, the one drawback of this method is that it'll only bring you so far money-wise, and if you really want to bring your profits even further, I'd have to recommend pigs, which when done effectively will give you some pretty serious profits. To get started with pigs, you'll have to build up a deluxe barn on your farm, then head down to Minings to purchase a pig for 16,000 gold, which might sound like a big investment, but if you've already done any of the methods I've talked about, you'll likely have some money saved up. Once you've purchased your first pig, you can let them out onto the farm, where they can dig up truffles, selling for a solid 650 gold a piece. Now for the most part, this is great. However, if you want this method to get even more broken, make sure to pick the botanist profession at foraging level 10, which will make every single forageable, including truffles, iridium quality, almost doubling the sell price to 1,250 gold. If you dedicate some time to working on this method, you should be able to get 5 or 10 barns of pigs up and running, and from this, make over 100,000 gold every single day. Just keep in mind that you'll be needing a lot of hay to keep this up and running, or a large field of grass, depending on what you find easier. But if you're looking for something with absolutely no setup whatsoever, it's definitely worth looking into the skull caverns. This is a pretty controversial strategy as there's a lot of risk involved and just general difficulty. However, if you're willing to accept these risks, you will be rewarded, and you will be rewarded well. When you go diving into the skull caverns, the main thing you'll want to be looking for is iridium, which you can get a few hundred of each run, and when smelted into a bar with the blacksmith perk, will sell for 1,500 gold. On top of this, you can also get a few prismatic shards and all sorts of other valuable gems and ores you can sell. I could make a whole video on how to optimize your skull cavern runs, but in short, bring as many bombs and staircases as you possibly can, get as deep as you can, and just break as much as you can on each floor. It's an expensive cost each dive, but if you are able to pull it off, you can make upwards of 300,000 gold a day doing this, which is especially great considering there's no waiting around required, and you can just go on a whim whenever you need some cash. Moving on to some even more advanced strategies, there is ancient fruit wine, something that is going to take you a long time to set up, but by the time it's done, will actually turn into one of the easiest methods on this list to maintain. There are so many ways to go about wine and how you want to farm it, but I'll be showcasing what's made me the most money, and what I'd recommend. To do this method, you're going to want to start by gathering up as many ancient fruit seeds as possible, preferably a few thousand if you want to make the most money. To gather up all of these, just start by planting one, and using the seed maker, continuously make more and more seeds until eventually you have as many as you need. From there, plant them out onto your field, wait for them to grow, and finally, you can harvest them every single week for the rest of the year. This is already pretty profitable on its own, with each ancient fruit selling for around 600 gold. However, in order to squeeze as much money as you can out of this, you want to build a lot of kegs, which, fun fact, you can place anywhere you want in Pelican Town, as long as it's not in a village's way. If you've made sure to select the artisan perk for the 40% boost in sell prices, this can make you upwards of 500,000 gold every single day, and with the help of sprinklers, let you do almost no work for the rest of the year. However, what if you only wanted to make as much money as humanly possible, regardless of how much effort, time, or resources it would take to get there? Well, out of all the ways to make money in this game, the one that takes the place of the most profitable would have to go to Crystallariums. And by Crystallariums, I mean a lot of Crystallariums. Roughly 22,000 of these placed all throughout Pelican Town. In order to set all of this up, it would cost an absurdly unrealistic amount of time and resources, including over 40,000 bars of iridium, which obviously in the base game just isn't going to happen. But by filling these up with diamonds, you could make just over 5 million gold every 24 hours. Not exactly bad for a day's work. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more like this, be sure to check out the video on screen.